You're wrong, Cher. The boat is going at full speed. But the Zuyder Sea is a dead sea, or almost. With its flat shores lost in the fog, there's no knowing where it begins or ends. So we're steaming along without any landmarks. We can't gauge our speed. We're making progress and yet nothing is changing. It's not navigation, but dreaming. In the Greek archipelago, I had the contrary feeling. Constantly new islands would appear on the horizon. Their treeless backbone marked the limit of the sky, and their rocky shore contrasted sharply with the sea. No confusion possible. In the sharp light, everything was a landmark. And from one island to another, ceaselessly on our little boat, which was nevertheless dawdling, I felt as if we were scudding along night and day on the crest of the short, cool waves in a race full of spray and laughter. Since then, Greece itself drifts somewhere within me, on the edge of my memory, tirelessly. Hang on, hold on. I too am drifting. I'm becoming lyrical. Stop it, Moshe, I beg you. By the way, do you know Greece? No? So much the better. What should we do there, I ask you? There it requires pure hearts. Do you know that there friends walk along the street in pairs, holding hands? Yes, the women stay at home, and you often see a middle-aged, respectable man sporting moustaches, gravely striding along the pavements, his fingers locked in those of a friend. In the Orient, likewise. I don't say no. But tell me, would you take my hand in the streets of Paris? No, I'm joking. We have a sense of decorum. Scum gives us a stilted manner. Before appearing in the Greek islands, we should have to wash at length. There, the air is chaste, the sea and sensual enjoyment transparent, and we... Let's sit down on these deck chairs. What a fog, eh? I interrupted myself, I believe, on the way to the Little Ease. Yes, I'll tell you what I mean. After having struggled, after having exhausted all my insolent airs, discouraged by the uselessness of my efforts, I made up my mind to leave the society of men. No, I didn't look for a desert island. There are none left, anyway. I simply took refuge among women. As you know, they don't really condemn any weakness. They're more inclined to try to humiliate or disarm our strength. This is why woman is the reward not of the warrior but of the criminal. She is his harbour, his haven. It's in a woman's bed he's generally arrested. Is she not all that remains to us of earthly paradise? In distress I hastened to my natural harbour, but I no longer indulged in pretty speeches. I still gambled a little out of habit, but invention was lacking. I hesitate to admit it for fear of using a few more forbidden expressions. It seems to me that at that time I felt the need of love. Obscene, isn't it? In any case, I experienced a secret suffering, a sort of privation, that made me emptier and allowed me, partly forced to it and partly just out of curiosity, to make a few commitments. Inasmuch as I needed to love and be loved, I thought I was in love. In other words, I acted the fool. I often caught myself asking a question which, as a man of experience, I had always previously avoided. I would hear myself asking, "Do you love me?" You know that it's customary to answer in such cases, "And you?" If I answered yes, I found myself committed beyond my real feelings. If I dared to say no, I ran the risk of ceasing to be loved, and I would suffer as a result. The greater the threat to the emotion in which I had hoped to find calm, the more I demanded it of my partner. Hence I was led to ever more explicit promises and came to exact an ever vaster emotion from my heart. Thus I developed a deceptive passion for a charming fool who had so thoroughly read the sentimental press that she spoke of love with the assurance and conviction of an intellectual announcing the classless society. Such conviction, as you must know, is contagious. I tried myself out at talking likewise of love and eventually convinced myself, at least until she became my mistress, and I realised that the sentimental press, though it taught how to talk of love, did not teach how to make love. After having loved a parrot, I had to go to bed with a serpent. So I looked elsewhere for the love promised by books, which I had never encountered in life. But I lacked practice. For more than 30 years I had been in love with nothing but myself exclusively. What hope was there of losing such a habit? I didn't lose it, and remained a trifler in passion. I multiplied the promises. I contracted simultaneous loves, as at an earlier period I had multiple liaisons. In this way I accumulated more misfortunes for others than at the time of my fine indifference. Have I told you that my parrot in despair wanted to let herself die of hunger? Fortunately, I arrived in time and submitted to holding her hand until she met, on his return from a journey to Bali, the engineer with greying temples who had already been described to her by her favourite weekly. In any case, far from finding myself transported and absolved in the eternity, as the saying goes, of passion, I added even more to the weight of my crimes and to my deviation from virtue. As a result, I conceived such a loathing for love that for years I could not hear La Vie en Rose or the Liebestod without gnashing my teeth. I tried accordingly to give up women in a certain way and to live in a state of chastity. After all, their friendship ought to satisfy me. But this was tantamount to giving up gambling. Without desire, women bored me beyond all expectation, and obviously I bored them too. No more gambling and no more theatre. I was probably in the realm of truth. But truth, cher ami, is a colossal bore. Despairing of love and of chastity, I at last told myself that there was nothing left but debauchery, a substitute for love which quiets the laughter, restores silence, and confers immortality. At a certain degree of lucid intoxication, lying late at night between two prostitutes and drained of all desire, hope ceases to be a torture, you see. The mind dominates the whole past, and the pain of living is forever over. In a sense, I'd always lived in debauchery, never having ceased wanting to be immortal. Wasn't this the key to my nature, and also a result of the great self-love I've told you about? Yes, I was bursting with a longing to be immortal. I was too much in love with myself not to want the precious object of my love never to disappear. Since in the waking state and with a little self-knowledge one can see no reason why immortality should be conferred on a salacious monkey, one has to obtain substitutes for that immortality. Because I longed for eternal life, I went to bed with harlots and drank for nights on end. In the morning, to be sure, my mouth was filled with the bitter taste of the mortal state. But for hours on end I had soared in bliss. Dare I admit it to you? I still remember with affection certain nights when I used to go to a sordid nightclub to meet a quick chains dancer who honoured me with her favours, and for whose reputation I even fought one evening with a bearded braggart. Every night I would strut at the bar in the red light and dust of that earthly paradise, lying fantastically and drinking at length. I would wait for dawn and at last end up in the always unmade bed of my princess, who would indulge mechanically in sex and then sleep without transition. Day would come softly to throw light on this disaster, and I would get up and stand motionless in a dawn of glory. Alcohol and women provided me, I admit, with the only solace of which I was worthy. I'll reveal this secret to you, cher ami. Don't be afraid to make use of it. Then you'll see that true debauchery is liberating because it creates no obligations. In it you possess only yourself. Hence it remains the favourite pastime of the great lovers of their own person. It is a jungle without past or future, above all, without any promise or any immediate penalty. The places where it is practised are separated from the world. On entering, one leaves behind fear and hope. Conversation is not obligatory there. What one comes for can be had without words, and often indeed without money. I beg you, let me pay honour to the unknown and forgotten women who helped me then. Even today my recollection of them contains something resembling respect.